Welcome everyone to a new IoT tutorial, and in this tutorial we are going to create RFID based smart attendance system using Nodemcu and Firebase. For this project I will be creating this attendance system where user get registered using the RFID tags, and we have the web portal where the admin can manage basically can view all these the attendees check-in and check-out time which is getting maintained there, and we have the attendance summary where basically all this data can be also downloaded in the CSV file, and we have the live status tab as well where the real-time status that which we have only 2 users right now, but all the users can be added and can also be monitored that when if there is a user at the current time it is signed in or signed out. So this is the system we will create in this tutorial. Talking about the agenda for this project, there are 5 parts for this project, and in the first part I will show you this whole demo, and next we will see the requirements, basically focusing on the hardware part, and the circuit diagram is very important in this project, so we will see that what are all components I have used for creating this project. And the fourth part is project and architecture explanation. Basically I will explain the flow of this project and in that part, and at last we will explain the code. And talking about the code, we have we have Arduino code which I have used, Arduino IDE, and that code will be uploaded in Nodemcu. And the second code is the web dashboard code which I have created for our attendance portal. So these are the 5 agendas we will discuss in this session, and there are more points you can see written here, which basically it is the things you will going to learn in this tutorial. So you will learn how to get the time using NTP server. I will explain the NTP server and the use of NTP server, how you fetch the time from NTP server using Nodemcu. So working of RFID I will explain, hands-on Firebase real-time database where I will give you each and every step that how you set up a project in Firebase and how and then you will use the real-time database service of that Firebase. And the last is host your static website on Firebase. Okay, so what we have created is it is currently running on localhost, and we are going to publish this website using Firebase. So let's directly jump to our demo. So you can see the smart attendance system. This is the portal which I have designed using HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, moreover Jquery here. And you can see there are 2 cards. We have attendance summary and live status. And the current Firebase real-time database structure is nothing. Basically we have nothing. So I have written 2 Arduino codes, and you can also see the hardware setup on my screen. So this is the INIT Arduino code where we are basically using it for basically making entry of all the UID, basically all the RFID tags. These are our tags. This is our I have 2 tags with me. This one is blue and this one is white. So these are 2 RFID tags, and I will going to make entry of these to our system basically, so that we will track the attendance of these 2 users. We can consider these tags, RFID tags, as users. So there are 2 users we need to enter. For that we are using this Arduino code. So let me scan and make entry, and we can see the same on the dashboard, real-time dashboard. We can see those entries. So let me enter first. Okay, so you can see here UID 6727 and cross. So this cross means that the user is not yet checked in, and we are just entering it in our database. You can see we have now a users, and inside that we have a key which is the same UID, and after that we have 0 in the value. So let me select other one. Okay, okay, fine. 20131558125, and this one is second. So this is the new entry, and we can see that new entry is also there. So I have inserted both my card. So now we need to upload my second sketch, the Firebase sketch, and this is the main sketch which is responsible for tracking the attendance. So when is the user checking in and when it is checking out. So this whole thing is basically accomplished using this sketch. So I need to upload this sketch now to our Nodemcu. So the code is uploaded, this second code is uploaded now, and we can see that now this is the Firebase structure is the same. Now let me scan this. Now this user 20, the starting with 20, if this user comes, so basically this is this one, this white tag is representing this user, and when this user come, it will get checked in to our attendance portal, to the system. So let me scan this one. So you can see in the checking in the basically the LCD display, now it gate close again. So, and this new entry you can see here, 20215 device 11, the time, this is the current time right now, and check in, and this is the real time status. Basically this user is added to our attendance summary, and the live status from cross it becomes tick. And if I can show you this one, this serial monitor also, let me check in the second user, which start from 667. So then we can see the serial monitor also, and we can focus on the LCD display. You can see that it says checking in, and the second user also checked in. And if I can show you this time, this card ID number is this, and this is got stored in our database. So we can see there are two pushes. This one is the first push, this is from second push, Firebase. So these are data got pushed from the Nodemcu to this Firebase, and the same is received here through WebSocket, because we get a library, we get the Firebase library for connecting our HTML, CSS, JavaScript code using that Firebase library. So we have integrated that, and I will show you all those steps, that how you understand all those things. So after that, let me check out this one. So checking in time is 12/7/29, and let me check out. So there some time already passed, and first let me check out this one, this white one. So you can see checking out on the LCD display, and we got the message here 12:19. Okay, after 2 minutes we checked out, this user checked out, and the current status, it all became cross for this and for the second one, for this blue tag one, the second user, if I scan it, checking out, get close, and this second 12:19:50, so 29 second and 50 second. Okay, so it's fine. We have 4 entries in our summary, and you can see a download button here, and what it basically does is it will download our data, table data, in the CSV format. And we have also a search button. So if I want to search all the activity of this user, the starting from 20, I will simply 201, it gives us these 2 entries. So this search is work in real time. And the second thing is this download button. Let me click on it, and you can see a file name 3.csv, and we have this format, user ID, device ID, time, status. Okay, device ID, time, status. Okay, so check in, check out. Okay, so this thing we will see in the discussion, that how we will implement this one also. So apart from that, we have all other things working for our project. The database structure you can also see. We have main, attendance and users, which are responsible for the main keys of this database. And let's go to next section. So the requirement for this project is a Nodemcu, RS522 RFID reader, I2C LCD display. These three components we need for this project. So RFID reader, and we also need the tags, because the tags are what signifying the users. So two RFID tags are enough for this. And for I2C LCD display, we have the normal LCD display, but there are many number of pins, so we have used this I2C interface IC, and this will basically turn all those pins to only 4 pin, which are SCL, SDA, VCC and ground. So you need to provide a 5-volt supply for this. And in my case, you have also seen a Arduino there. So what I have used is a 5-volt supply from Arduino Uno. You can use anything around you. If you have a DC adapter, you can use the 5-volt supply from it. And 5-volt there, and just make sure that you need to connect the ground of the Nodemcu to the supply which you are giving. Talking about the circuit diagram, we can see that we have RFID reader. We can see that RFID reader is connected to D5, D6, D7, D8. These 4 pins are used here, and 3V3 and ground. So, and the LCD display is using the default pin for SCL and SDA. We know that it is a I2C display, and it will use the default Nodemcu pins if we are not using the software serial library. We have used the normal pins which are defined for I2C in Nodemcu, which is D0 and D1. D1 and D2. D1 is directly connected to SCL, and which is the clock pin, and D2 is connected to the SDA, which is the data pin. So some Nodemcus also give 5-volt from the VIN. If your Nodemcu is supplying 5-volt from VIN after connecting the USB, after powering the Nodemcu from USB, then you can use the VIN. Otherwise, you need to supply 5-volt from anywhere else. So Nodemcu pins. For Nodemcu pins, we have let me open the Fritzing sketch for this. So here is the Fritzing. You can now navigate. Now I am navigating to each and every pins of this RFID. So first is the SDA pin. SDA is connected to D8. Next pin is SCK. This RFID works on basically we have I2C, and the second is SPI. So these are 2 communication protocols, and we are using SPI for this. And we have SDA, SCK. SCK is connected to pin D5, and the other is MOSI. These are basically master out, slave in, and this is MISO, so master in, slave out. So there are 2 these pins, and we have D7, and MISO is connected to D6. And other than that, IRQ is not connected to anything, and ground is connected to the ground of Nodemcu. RST is connected to D0, and 3.3 volt is supplied from the Nodemcu as well. So this is how we connect the RFID. Talking about the functioning of RFID reader and tags, so these tags are basically the passive tags, where there are no power source internally in these tags, these RFID tags. So as soon as it come near the proximity of these readers through the electromagnetic fields, it will get read by the readers, and the data inside it get read by the readers, and then only we will basically, what we are doing after that is through SPI we are getting those data to our Nodemcu. and Nodemcu will then going to write this data to through, after connecting to Wi-Fi, it is connected to the Firebase cloud, and then it is pushing these data after reading it to the internet, to the network. Talking about the architecture, we have this Nodemcus, and the first few steps are very simple, where we are just scanning the RFID tags through the reader, and after scanning these tags, the data inside these tags, which is basically UID, we are publishing these UID to the attendance and users key. So Firebase database, we have attendance and users as our main keys, and there are all the tree structure inside history data and live data, so which we will see in the next part, where I will implement each and everything from scratch. So the data which are history data and live data are simply getting pulled from this Firebase database to the attendance portal. So since we are using the library which internally uses WebSocket, so we don't need to do anything. We are just using it, and the publish part is also carried out by a library which we are using at Arduino. And let's look at the code of Arduino first, then we will move to the code for web portal. So this is the first code which I have uploaded to the Nodemcu INIT. So what it is doing is it is using few libraries. You can see here ESP82 Wi-Fi and SPI RFID. These two are for RFID reader, and Firebase ESP82 X66. So this is the Firebase library which we are using. So Firebase host and the auth, these two things are very important. So when you are creating a project, after you create a project, you will get this Firebase host and auth. Well, creating a real-time database, the host will be this part. After HTTP, this is the host which you need to paste here, and the auth part you will get it in project section, and it inside the service account there is a database secret, you can see here, and in the database secret you can click on this show and this copy it from here. So just paste this host and auth so that this Nodemcu can communicate with this our Firebase real-time database, this one. So next part is this next variable, str variable is there, which we are using in this function. You can see here str variable is using inside this. Well, we will see that. And SSID and password are the Wi-Fi name and the Wi-Fi password to which this Nodemcu will connect. So it is very important that this Wi-Fi name and this Wi-Fi will have internet connection. So if you are using the mobile hotspot, you need to also turn on the internet connection of your mobile. So Firebase did now we are using this Firebase ESP8266. We are just making an object of this class, and this connect method we will see in that. So the sketch starts from the setup method. So in the setup method we are initializing the serial monitor, so the serial using the baud rate, this one 115200. The Wi-Fi.begin will start the connection of Nodemcu to Wi-Fi using these credentials, and SPI, these are two very important thing for making the SPI connection, so that we can, so that our RFID reader will read the get the data. And this connect method is now called, so which is defined here. So it is just checking the Wi-Fi. If the status of Wi-Fi is not connected, it is printing dot till then, and when it connects, it simply prints connected. And after that there are two methods you can see here, begin method and reconnect Wi-Fi method. So begin method start the Firebase communication. After connecting to the internet, we are connecting to the Firebase real-time database. and which is connected using these two credentials. So all these things happen, and after that we are going in the loop method and repeating this code forever. So first what is this line of code is doing is it is waiting for the tag to be placed near the reader. So we are using the RFID which we have defined above. You can see RFID D8 and D0. Why we are using D8 and D0? So okay, let me update this thing. D8 pin of tag, this is the STA pin, and D0 is the RST, which is the reset pin. So if you can see in the diagram, if you can see closely, you can see that D8 is the SDA, the first is the SDA, and the RST reset pin is here, it is connected to this brown is connected to D0. So that's why in the code we have put that in the RFID. So this, using this class, we are making an object, and now we are making calls of all the methods inside it, inside that class. So RFID, we have find card method where which is basically we are waiting for the tag to be placed near this reader, and as soon as this card, as soon as we detect a card, since this loop is running again and again, so we print a line card found, and after that these line of code will help us in getting the card ID number, and we are getting that in this temp, and we are now calling a method push user. This is what pushing this this is what which is pushing the this single key value pair in this user's key. So let's see the push user method. This is the simple one line of code basically. So this temp, we have the UID inside the tag, and now we are going to this path in the Firebase UID path we have defined above. It is nothing but a slash users. There is no need for this one. Slash users plus temp. Okay, so user slash temp. So users is the main key, and then after we are going for the tag ID, and this will be and the value is this one. So this first argument is the second argument is the key, and this third argument is the value, and after before this Firebase data is nothing but an object which is defined above. So this is a syntax we have to use while using this library, and this is the line which is responsible for setting this data for this data 0 in this path user slash tag ID, and tag ID is read by the RFID reader. So this is the init method, init Arduino sketch. What it is doing is it is simply making the pushes to here, and now how this pushes will be reflected in this second live status card. Let's see that as well in the same manner, because that needs to be also addressed. So let's see this HTML code. Simple, this HTML code we have head and the script. We have defined few script in the head as well, and this is the one which I was talking about, the Firebase library we are using, and config these credentials we need to provide for this library. So how do you get it? So simply go to project settings, and in the journal tab you get this thing. Simply copy it and paste it right in the config, and initialize this using the firebase.initialize config. So this line of code, we are linking the style.css to this index.html file so that we can define all our styling in this part. So all after that is bootstrap, importing bootstrap, font awesome, which is for icon. We have used few icons in this code, like this tab icon, and also this download icon. So this is using this font awesome library. Well, other thing is data table. So very important thing is here we have used the Jquery data table. So data table is very important thing which we have used so that we can utilize this download CSV feature and this search feature. And these are the two features which are given by it, and also all the table rendering is also provided by data table as well. So these library, this is the CSS for data table, and we have used the data table Bootstrap version. So there is a simple version where you don't need to where you don't need to enter this line, and after that we have responsive also. So what it means is when we make it in a small window, you can see this plus button, and if I click it, okay, so it's okay. So this is basically the purpose of responsive thing, that we can make it this checking in checking out in the second line, or we can set priority that which column will go in under the second line when the width of this thing become less in mobile basically. So the main part is the heading, where the smart attendance system, which you can see right here, and after that we have the container which contains two cards, the second card and this first card. So let's leave the first card, we will just see the second card since we have completed this part. And now we can see the second part, where the live status you can see written here as a header of card, and in the body we have used the class users. And after this document is ready in the Jquery, this is how we see that the document is ready. Now we can apply all the functions, Jquery functions. Now first we are just doing HTML, no data available, since there is no user in the starting or before scanning anything, there should be no user, so we have used that. And as soon as a user get scanned, as soon as a user get entered, we are utilizing this method firebase.ref as a reference in the root, which means that any changes happening in the root, like this here, like in the attendance or users, we are capturing that changes in real time using this method. So now let's focus on dot users, changes occurring in the users method. So since we got a data, we got this key value data from the Nodemcu, and now we have the data, and now we are storing in the obj and making a loop out of it. So we are making a loop inside this object. So if I can show you that part also, okay, so you need to see that using let's console print on 111 line. So okay, 111, you can see that there is an object, JavaScript object, where we have key value pair. So after making object or dot keys, we are converting this in the array of these two items. So now what we can do is, let me see. Now what we can do is, after making this, we are appending this in the users, which is this users class. So we are appending the HTML in this users, this HTML which corresponds to this thing. So here we have UID, and there are two items also. This is the cross, and we have also the tick. So these are two items, and how we are deciding that which item will remain, because both items should not be there. So we are basically checking the value. So here key and value, so this value is right now 0, and if this value is 1, then we will show it. And how we are showing it? Using the ID. So ID will be using the hashtag. And why we are using this? Since every a key is the thing which is unique among the users, so we are making it as id. As we know, id should be unique. So one thing is showing. Why it is showing? Because this is a tick which should show when this value became 1. So when it became 1, it will become 1 when the RFID tag will read for the entry, for the check-in part. When I will explain the second code, Arduino code, then you can understand this more clearly. Now you can just see that this one, why it is 1 here, I will explain it later. Then we are just for 1 we are showing the tick, and for 0 or else part we are saying we are showing the false, which is cross. So this is the code which is responsible for making entry of these two cards in the live status. And this is also this is the same code which is also responsible for changing this cross in real time. If you can see, this is cross right now, and if I make it 1, you can see it became tick. So this same code is responsible for that as well. Since we are for every change this method will called, and after that whatever in the user's thing, it will again become empty like this. And after that we will do all this process again, all this loop thing again, and checking the key. If it is 1, we are showing the tick. This is how it is working. So same applies to this second user as well. So I have explained all the functionalities of live status for now. So let's start the discussion for the second Arduino code, which is the Firebase code. What it is responsible for: the entries. This entries which you can see in the attendance summary. These entries are due to the second code of Firebase. And what it is doing is, before that let's go by line first, then we can easily understand everything. So main thing which is different, all these things we have already seen in the previous sketch, but these two line of code are different. Okay, so these three line of code. So liquid crystal underscore i2c.h, this library is used for displaying the data, data on the LCD display. And apart from this, these are two libraries. NTP server, for connecting to NTP server we need to use the UDP protocol. So that protocol is implemented using Wi-Fi UDP in Nodemcu. So for that, our Nodemcu is behaving as an NTP client, which is connecting to the server for getting the time data. For that we have these three line of code which is important: NTP, UDP, and the UTC offset in second. So this is very important, that for according to your country it will vary. For India, since we have plus 5 hour and 30 minute ahead of the main GMT, so UTC offset in second for India became 919800. So if you need to understand it more clearly, you can follow the last minute engineers website. Let me show you. So NTP with ESP8266, and this is the first website you will get. You can see that this NTP is nothing but network time protocol, and how it works is such that ESP8266 request for the data and the server respond with the timestamp. And now this library which we are using here, NTP client, you need to download this library in your Arduino sketch, Arduino IDE, and all you need to do is making the begin time client. Let's start with our sketch now. We have the time client, which is the class, which is the object of NTP client class, and we are using the UDP and this pool.ntp.org. This is the server host address. So the next thing is UID path. All these things we will discuss when the uses of these are defined in the next part. Red, green, okay, so you can comment this line. This is not anything. So this connect method we can so our code start from the setup method, where we have the LCD init and clear and backlight. So these three line of code will initialize the LCD display with backlight on, and this is how we initialize the LCD. So these two other line of code is initializing the RFID reader RC522. So again, the time client which we have created for NTP server for taking the time, we are beginning it and setting the offset which we have defined above 919800 for India. Okay, so again we are connecting to Wi-Fi, and after we have connected to internet, now we are connecting to the Firebase database. And this method is very useful since if we got any disconnection, it will try to reconnect again if you use this method. So again, after this this is check access. What exactly executed after this is the loop part which will be executed. So in the loop part, we are updating the time client every iteration. So every iteration the time client updates, we get the updated data. We basically what we get is we get the updated data from the NTP server. So we are making request in every loop, and the same thing which we have done in the previous sketch, we are checking for the RFID tag, that when it get read or placed near the reader. As soon as it placed near the reader, we get the, in the temp variable, we are getting the UID of that tag, and we are making this check access method call. So check access method is right here defined, which we are getting the data, our tag data in this temp. And now this LCD display scan your RFID, we are putting it in. We have 0 and 1, 2 line x-axis and y-axis in the first. So in the first according to y-axis, we have scan your RFID in the first line, and in the next line we are. So now you can see that there is a read function, firebase.getInt. So it is reading the data. So what it is reading is, it is reading this data. Since in the previous sketch we have this data ready with us, we have 0 here, and we have this data ready with us, we are reading this data. So if we get the data as 0, which means that this user 20131 user is not yet checked in, we are making the checking in. So we are making it checking in and printing the same on the LCD display, and making a JSON call, making a JSON object using this JSON.add, and making all these entries in this JSON object: time, ID, UID and status. These all things you can see the same ID, status, time and UID. So we are making the object using this and pushing this data right here in the attendance, inside attendance. So inside attendance we are pushing it in it is a randomly generated key, and we are making the entry in like a object like this. And we are also going to do one more thing, which is inside users/UID, which is the temp, which is RFID tag ID, and we are making it as 1. Since we are checking in, it was earlier 0, now we are making it 1. So this is how the real-time changing of data works. And again we are pushing it, and these are some error handling conditions, that if we got some error, we can simply see that error on the serial monitor So this is serial print. This is nothing related to in the logic. So else if part, if it is already checked in, if this value, if this value since we now it became 1, let's assume. So since this value became already 1, the else if part will execute. This else if part will execute, and we will print the checking out in the screen, and making the okay. So we are making the UID value as 1. Since we are already checked in, now we are checking out. So what we are doing is we are making it as 0. So it is already 1, and now we are making it as 0, and also going to push all these things in the JSON object in the same tree. So we are making the use of same tree for pushing the data, and this whole data push is also shown in the real time on this table. So that is how okay, so let me explain how this thing is working for table. So let's check the code for that. Okay, so we already know that this method will get us the data in real time, since we are using the on method. So we are getting the data, and we are tracking data for attendance, and as soon as we get any data in this inside attendance, if we got any one of these data, what we do is, let me show you, we are making a row object, we are making a row variable, and we are storing the tr. This is the row basically. So let me show the code first. So in the first card, we have this table structure ready with us. In the table head, we have this is one row, and the table body we are creating another row, and we are making it dynamic using Jquery. So what is here doing? Okay, so what we are doing is we are making a loop for the attendance part. So inside attendance there are 1 to 4 keys, and we are making a loop out of that using the object dot values. The same thing which we have done above, we are doing the same thing again, and now using the rows dot add. These are the important thing of Jquery data table library which we have used. You need to have a understanding of that. So we are just taking the row which we have created with our data, with our real-time data, and we are pushing it in our table, and this is how we do it. So talking about the status, since this status need to be changed in real time, so we are simply making the HTML changes after checking the status. If the status is 1, then only we are making the checking using the green badge, and else we are making the checkout using the red badge. So okay, so that's how this thing is working. This first part of this table is working. Let's check the search method. Okay, so talking about the search functionality is not explicitly added using the code, so you will get that in the data table library as well. So while defining data table, this is how it is defined. In the first, you can see this line of codes: ordering false, paging false. We also got ordering and paging functionalities with data table. So we have now it is false right now. And for buttons, we have used the buttons library, but data tables buttons plugin basically, and this extension will help us in downloading the export CSV, basically the downloading the